Hi there, I thought this would be a great opportunity just to take us through the difficulties and the complexity of fitting the transit chain and adjusting the eccentric bottom bracket. I thought I'd just take us through, and I have to say that sometimes you get caught out by bits and pieces and you just have to think them through a little bit more. So let's just have a go. Okay, so let's just start by a few basics. All the eccentric is the bottom bracket on the tandem is not in the very centre of the external bracket. Basically got it all over one side. It works like a cam and it pushes the crankshaft either forwards or backwards. So some people get a bit confused with the logic. If you've got the big space at the front, that's pushing it back and it's loosening the chain. You can see how loose this chain is. If we have the big space towards the back, well, I can't get it all that way, but you can see how tight the chain is now. So think about either the location of the small space or the big space. Before we get any further as well, let's just talk a little bit about the positioning of it. When you loosen it off, and on ours it's a pair of 4mm Allen keys, I'll see if I can get a picture of that in a minute to edit in, but it's 4mm Allen keys. Loosen them right off, take them back a good way first of all. That means that you can slide this eccentric in and out, and it needs to be well balanced in relation to the front position here. It needs to be pretty much centered but also lined up ideally with the rear crank as well. So I'm just going to look down from the top and do it by eye. That's pretty much in the center, side to side. At this point I can think about making my adjustment. So this is where I think about, well, what is the orientation of my pedals? So let's have a little think about that. The key bit here is working out what is the relationship of the pedals to each other. And it's really, a lot of it is about taste. Some people would go exactly in parallel with each other. Some people will want it at 90 degrees to each other. Others will want it, say, 15 degrees apart. That's about taste, and to be honest, it's what you get used to. What I'm going to do is take this chain off. First thing I've done is loosen the eccentric right off, so there's loads of slack on the chain. I'm connecting it to the rear sprocket, and then I'm going to adjust it so that the rear pedals are exactly vertical, and that's exactly how I want the front pedal. So I'm going to just keep those exactly level and then holding it in place. Now an easy way to stop it pulling is maybe put the brake on. If you've got a brake you can hold it in place, or literally just pull it up with your hand. Make sure this is vertical, that one's vertical, or you could go 90 degrees to the bottom. You hold it, keep it pretty tight, and then hook it on at the front and then very gently rotate. What you might find is it gets stuck underneath, so I'm just going to pull that out, turn, and I'd give it a couple of turns afterwards just to check that your pedals are in the right position. That's gone perfectly. It doesn't always work like that, and if you're somebody that struggles, I'll show you a plan B that I've made. Here we go. If you're somebody that struggles to get the pedals exactly lined up, then what I've done is I've got a bit of aluminium double angle and I've cut slots in it which exactly line up with the pedals. So I can fit this one on here and it clicks into place. Then I should be able to hold that one inside, and there we go. That's telling me they're very slightly out. And now that holds the two pedals in place and it keeps them exactly the right distance apart whilst I fit the chain. Once you know you've got it exactly lined up, and then we'll take off this and we're going to make our adjustment to the eccentric bracket. Well, I'm sure all of us at some point have had to use the roadside fix, which is where you place your end of your 4mm, ours is a 4mm Allen key here, you put your end of your 4mm Allen key in here, and then we turn the pedals, holding it in place, gradually rotating the eccentric until it's the correct amount of tightness. What is the correct amount of tightness? Well, they say up and down by about 1 centimetre in the centre of the chain. So that's about right. Now I've just waxed this so it will loosen itself off. And that's, you know, the system using the Allen key works okay, but to be honest, it'll put marks in the side of your pedals. I don't know if you can see, there's a bit of a mark there. And also, it's not very precise. So what you really want, if you're going to do this at home or in the workshop, you need a proper tool for it. And I've had one of these from Park Tools for years. It's a HCW4. It says 36mm on it. That end's not the one we want. It's this end, and it's got 2 pins on it. But actually, for the tandem, it is rubbish. So if I just show you, I try and fit it into the holes in the eccentric, and you'll see I just can't get it in. And there's two reasons for that. Firstly, these are 29mm apart, and really it needs to be 30 or 31. But the main problem, I don't know if we can see here, is how short those pins are. They're just nowhere near long enough. So don't be tempted to spend 15, 20 quid or however much it is on this sort of tool. The second tool is the spring version, which is adjustable, so you can change the distance between the pin. That works a little bit. I can get that in there and I can get that in there, and I can now move it relatively easily, and it does stay. But the problem again is the pins are so incredibly short that it's very hard to get them to work. So that's the Park Tools SPA1, the spring adjuster. Now, a very successful method that you can use is you can actually just use if you've got a chain splitter tool like this, which is the quick link tool. These are great, you should be using quick link, but actually with those you can literally stick those two longer prongs into the hole like this, and then literally just turn it and it will go, and you can turn it and tighten it up, and that works really well. I wouldn't want to do it too hard because you might damage the pin in the centre, but you can see how long the pins are on here. That works really well. So I would say as a tool for adjusting the chain, this is superb, and you can carry it with you. I always keep it with me. Broken enough chains when we've been out riding. So quick link pliers are pretty good and they will do the job. I'm sure you all want a dedicated tool, and I found after a while exactly the right one, and it's this. This is actually a tool from a router that I had, a woodworking router. It's a flat pin spanner that's used to grip onto the front of the router whilst you undo the chuck on it. The pins, you can see, are really long. See how long those pins are? They're 31.5mm apart. I think they're supposed to be 32 or 30, but anything nearby, and they fit in really well, and that is as rigid as I can get. It works really, really well, and I've just looked them up, and you can get these from Amazon or a tool supplier for about £3. So I would say it's worth the investment. So I'm going to tighten that up here until there's about a centimetre of play within my chain. Then we're going to start doing it up. Now what I'm going to do is just going to tighten these up, and I'm just going to do them finger tight to begin with. So just a quick spin on these, just gently, just to get it approximately to grip, but I'm not going to do it tight. I'm going to spin the wheel a few times. What that's doing is helping all the links to bed in. This is a waxed chain, so what's going to happen is it's going to loosen off quite quickly once we first start riding. And already I can feel that has loosened off a bit. Just going to go around. Okay, probably 20 or 30 times is enough. So the next thing is to back them off a bit and readjust the tension, and now I can tighten them up, but I'm not going to use my Allen key for that. For this I'm going to use a torque wrench, and I've got a torque wrench here, and I'm going to set the torque itself on here. I don't know if you can see. I reckon, I've looked around and I've asked, I work on 7 Newton meters. Just going to tighten those up now. And there we go. That is tight enough. That means you can get them apart in the field, but also they're not going to strip out the threads or damage the eccentric too much. So yeah, done. So now that's nice and tight, and pedals are well aligned, chain is at the correct tension. I've actually written on the bottom of my bottom bracket just here with a Sharpie 4mm Allen key and 7 Newton meters to remind me. And there you go. I hope you found that useful, and bye for now.